old, brand new, never used tines. So I went ahead and replaced every single one of the tines. They're all brand new, never used. Here, let me engage them. Oh, and turn the wheels on, you flip this lever up. I put a low-tone muffler on this engine. Makes it nice and quiet. And I put an older style oil bath air filter on it, made by United Oil Bath Air Cleaner Company, because the original air cleaner for this engine had a bent base where it matches up with the cast iron tube right there, so it would leak oil down through the carburetor, and that was one of the reasons why it smokes so much. I made these fingers so the clutch now works. Tires are holding there, surprisingly, and I do have replacement tires, such as this one. They're made by Goodyear, actually, and they're 4x7 tires. And these are actually brand new tires. They've never been used. I found them in my grandpa's basement. He must have got them for spares with the tiller. I just found them last night, and I was like, holy crap! Because these tires, look how big a difference that is. Better penetration right there. That's right. These things are shot. They're all bent up and worn right out. So that's good to know. I replaced them all. It's kind of hard to replace them. These things here are all separate hubs, and they all pull apart individually, except for the first one, which is connected right to the drive hub. But it can't work. It works. And yet, to make it move, you just flip this lever up like that, and then you push this knob down, and that raises the engine up, and that engages your clutch. Pull up on the knob, drop your engine down, disengages your clutch, and then you flip this down to neutral. Pretty cool little tiller. I mean, it worked excellent. I wish I had my front shroud, but it's nothing I really need to make it work. So, see you later. Believe it or not, I actually did quite a bit of work to this little engine. I didn't just put a new air stack and a new muffler on it. I did much more than that. I actually tore this engine apart in the original engine, and I took the piston and rings out of this engine, and I took the piston and rings out of the original Model 8 engine that was on this tiller, and I put the original piston and rings, or I put the piston and rings from the original engine that went to this tiller into this engine because they were in better shape. The piston and rings that were in this engine were shot. Well, the piston was okay, but I didn't feel like pulling the rings off the piston when the pistons are exactly the same as it was to begin with. So the pistons are both in decent shape, so I wasn't really worried about that. But the rings that were in the other engine were, well, they're worn. It's definitely been used, but it's a whole lot better than the rings that were in this engine to begin with, when I got it at least. This engine here was pretty worn. It's not worn out, but boy, it needed rings bad. And it went through half a quart of oil in a matter of hours. Now, I've significantly cut back the amount of oil it uses. It burns oil still, but it's very, very minimal to what it was, and it hardly smokes at all anymore. It does smoke occasionally, but it's not constant like it was. And I had this entire engine torn right apart. It's actually pretty easy. I replaced the crankcase breather vent tube right here. I cleaned everything out, cleaned everything up. I coated the engine with linseed oil to help protect the decals and everything, because this oil cleaner actually has a neat little decal. The Briggs decal is pretty much gone, but half it's there. And this engine here is actually in really nice shape. This is not the original carburetor. I probably went through about 3 different carburetors before I finally found one that would work. The original carburetor, I couldn't get the engine to run off that carburetor. I have a bunch of these engines laying around. So I was just pulling carburetors off, parts, engines, and everything, just trying to find one that would work. I had a spare carburetor, and finally I found my spare carburetor here worked. This might be the original carburetor, I don't remember. I was pulling parts off different carburetors, putting them together, and I finally got the one carb here to work. My float valve doesn't work quite right, so if you let it sit with the gas valve over here on, it will drip a little bit. But once you get it to run, it will run fine, it won't drip. You just shut the fuel off from the valve right here and let it run out of gas, and it won't give you a lick of problems. So, that works. And I do plan to repaint this little tiller. I don't know if I'm going to repaint the engine completely, because it is kind of nice looking as it is, but I definitely am thinking about repainting this tiller. I'm thinking about it. I may not, because it does look kind of neat, old like it is. But, until next time.